Right now on Good Morning America, first look, a meeting today that could chart a new course for vaccines in America. Will policies and recommendations surrounding childhood vaccines change? A warning from the former director of the CDC, her message to Congress, and how the Trump administration is responding.
A developing story from rural Pennsylvania. 3 police officers shot and killed. What we're learning about the warrant they were serving.
The preparations underway for Charlie Kirk's funeral. The security level being compared to the Super Bowl, and the new move by President Trump designating a far-left group as a terrorist organization.
An alert for parents after another so-called sextortion case. Potentially hundreds of young boys falling victim, sending private photos.
Plus, a baby born weighing less than 2 pounds at birth goes home from the hospital after a remarkable journey.
Some priceless jewelry from ancient Egypt goes missing.
The new lawsuit over what employees at Starbucks are wearing.
And the new direct flight taking off that's 29 hours long. Would you book it?
From ABC News, this is Good Morning America. First look.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Morgan Norwood.
And I'm Perry Russom. We begin with a meeting today that could chart a new course for vaccines in America.
Yeah, a CDC panel with new members chosen by Health Secretary Robert Kennedy is meeting to review some of the most common vaccines. The panel could vote to restrict or modify current vaccine recommendations.
An advisory panel at the CDC kicking off a 2-day meeting today where members are expected to discuss and vote on vaccines currently recommended for all children, including those for measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, and hepatitis B. The COVID vaccine also up for discussion. Such a meeting rarely draws attention, but Health Secretary Robert Kennedy recently replaced members of the panel, and many of the new members have questioned vaccine safety or spread misinformation about vaccines.
I cannot sign off on something before I see the data and the evidence.
Yesterday, former CDC Director Susan Monterez telling a Senate committee that Kennedy fired her after less than a month on the job because she refused to pre-approve new vaccine recommendations without evidence.
And he said and elaborated on this for some period of time that there is no data and evidence, there is no science, and that I needed to commit to signing off on each and every one of those recommendations. And if I could not commit to that, I needed to resign.
Health Department officials say her testimony contained factual inaccuracies and left out important details, and accused Monterez of acting maliciously to undermine the president's agenda. After the hearing, Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, a physician, faced questions about whether Americans should trust the new CDC panel.
If the vaccine advisory panel makes recommendations to change the childhood vaccine schedule, should the American people have confidence in that decision?
No. We have decreased from 20,000 kids a year getting hepatitis B to like 20 a year. That's exponential decline.
But a recent poll found 1 in 6 parents have now skipped or delayed a routine childhood vaccine, and about half say they have little to no confidence in federal health agencies to ensure those shots are safe.
And medical groups warn that any recommendation shifting vaccine schedules could spark more confusion, trigger shortages, and potentially cost lives, pointing to a measles outbreak earlier this year that killed 2 children.
A solemn procession overnight in York County, Pennsylvania. The bodies of 3 police officers killed in the line of duty were taken to the coroner's office. The officers were killed in a shootout with a suspect while serving a warrant in a case that's being described as a domestic situation. 2 other officers were hurt. They are in critical but stable condition. The suspect died at the scene. No one involved has been named just yet. And more deadly gun violence, this time outside a middle school near Chicago. Police say an assistant principal was among 3 people killed in what police are calling an act of domestic violence. They say the gunman who fired into the victim's car took his own life.
Well, now to the death of Charlie Kirk. Law enforcement agencies are preparing for his funeral as members of Congress get a boost in security. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has the details. Nicole, good morning.
Morgan, good morning. House leaders have announced members will now be allowed $10,000 per month for personal security in the wake of Charlie Kirk's killing. That's double the $5,000 currently available to House members, and millions of additional security funding is included in a new spending bill. Meanwhile, Homeland Security has designated Kirk's funeral in Arizona this Sunday as a Level 1 event. That's the same security designation that the Super Bowl gets. The stadium can fit more than 70,000 people, but officials predict a up to 100,000 may show up, with President Trump and Vice President Vance among the speakers. Now, Vance just last night dismissed claims that there's equal amounts of political violence on both sides of the aisle, despite recent attacks on Democrats in Minnesota and also in Pennsylvania.
The idea that left-wing violence and right-wing violence in 2025 in America are equal, it's preposterous. That is not a both sides problem. My friend is dead because of left-wing political radicalization. And if you want to cut that out, then be honest about it and look yourself in the mirror.
Vance also discussed the First Amendment, saying, quote, "It protects a lot of ugly speech, but if you celebrate Charlie Kirk's death, you should not be protected from being fired or from being a disgusting person," unquote. And in the meantime, President Trump has announced he's designating the far-left anti-fascist group Antifa as a major terrorist organization, vowing to investigate those who are funding the group. Morgan.
All right, Nicole D'Antonio, thank you. Well, Jimmy Kimmel's late night talk show has been preempted by ABC indefinitely after Kimmel's comments about Charlie Kirk's death. Before the network's decision was announced, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr called for Kimmel to be suspended. Unions representing entertainment professionals and writers have condemned the decision.
President Trump is turning his attention to foreign policy this morning after being treated by the royal family. He is sitting down with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer for talks on everything from Ukraine to tariffs as the UK seeks a lower rate on steel imports. King Charles laying the groundwork during last night's state banquet.
This is truly one of the highest honors of my life. Such respect for you and such respect for your country.
The United Kingdom was your partner in the first trade deal of your administration, Mr. President, bringing jobs and growth to both our countries. And no doubt we can go even further as we build this new era of our partnership.
A $42 billion tech deal has already been announced between those two countries.
There are growing questions in Los Angeles this morning where officials have identified the body found in the trunk of a Tesla registered to singer David. His show in Seattle was canceled last night. He has not been charged. The remains were those of a 15-year-old missing for more than a year. Officials say she and David have the same tattoos on their fingers.
We have an inside look this morning from the front lines of the war in Gaza. Tens of thousands have died. Others are trying to survive, living in tents, dodging bombs. One American doctor who is no stranger to war zones claims this is a whole new scale. An American doctor is giving us an inside look at the crisis in Gaza right now.
I would predict that things are going to get much, much worse here.
Dr. Michael Falk, a New York trauma specialist with the charity Med Global, is working at a hospital in southern Gaza. He says Israel's ground offensive in Gaza City, launched this week to target Hamas militants, has already led to 2 mass casualty incidents at his hospital. Falk describes the so-called green zones in Gaza, which are supposed to be safe for civilians, as anything but.
One of my residents who I worked with yesterday went home last night, and his wife's family, aside from his father-in-law, were all killed in the tent beside them. And that's technically in a safe zone. You know, we had an ambulance driver shot outside the hospital earlier this week. He died.
An estimated 400,000 people have fled Gaza City in recent days. The Israeli military saying it destroyed 25 high-rise buildings in one day, calling them terror towers used by Hamas. Falk has worked in war zones in Iraq and Ukraine. He says Gaza right now is worse than anything he's seen.
As soon as the winter starts to set in and the water starts running freely, you're going to see a lot more communicable diseases, especially things like diarrhea, waterborne illnesses like diarrhea. If the wintertime comes in, you'll see more respiratory illnesses. And the situation is just going to get worse and worse because people are chronically malnourished.
Any ceasefire deal in exchange for the hostages still being held by Hamas seems out of reach. Adid Hoyle's son is among the hostages believed to be held somewhere in Gaza City. She worries Israel's new ground operation is putting his life in more danger.
That means that he's in more danger than he was maybe before. Save my son, end the war, and bring Elon home.
Dr. Falk says the hospital he's working at is meant to hold 300 patients. It has more than 1,000.
Well, a baby born more than 3 months early is now home after a remarkable journey. Trinity Rose weighed less than 2 pounds when she was born on Long Island, New York back in April. But yesterday, after spending 146 days in the NICU, she finally went home weighing a healthy 11 pounds. Her parents say the doctors and nurses never gave up hope. Well, it's time now for your Thursday weather.
Good morning. The Northeast drying out, and in fact, summer-like warmth over the Great Lakes is spreading eastward near 80 in New York. Some thunderstorms over parts of South Florida. Some severe storms possible from Oklahoma City, Kansas City, up to about Des Moines. It's nice in the west until you get to the southwest, and we're watching some tropical storm remnants, potentially causing some flooding across Southern California all the way into New Mexico. There's a flash flood risk. And then there's Gabrielle. A tropical storm could go hurricane status in early next week. It's going to be a close call with Bermuda. That's your forecast. I'm ABC News meteorologist Lee Goldberg.
Coming up, a big change for some popular breakfast foods.
But first, an alert for parents after another so-called sextortion case. Potentially hundreds of young boys falling victim sending private photos.
And later, priceless jewelry from ancient Egypt goes missing. Back with one way to not make your train. This woman, apparently running late, crawled under this train near Chicago, presumably to make up some time to get to the other side of the tracks to catch her train. Police telling everybody that's illegal and you could be fined.
Well, an alert for parents this morning. More teens are falling victim to sextortion scams. The latest case could involve hundreds of victims. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
This morning, a disturbing new case of so-called sextortion, a growing scheme targeting teens across the country. A middle school student in New York is accused of scamming potentially hundreds of other students into sending explicit pictures of themselves.
A lot of these cases, they end up out of the state, out of the country mostly. So it is a little unusual and a little troubling.
Male students coming forward, saying they thought they were exchanging photos with a female on social media. But it was a male who police say then demanded money or threatened to send the photos to the students' friends. The FBI says these schemes are skyrocketing and have been linked to at least 20 suicides of mostly teen boys. Wisconsin mom Brittany Bird says her 15-year-old son Braden was a victim.
The only way that this changes, because it won't stop, is our voices being louder than everyone else on the internet.
Officials say most sextortion cases are traced to Africa and Asia, making the suspects hard to track down. 2 Nigerian men were convicted last year of pretending to be a high school girl to get photos and scam Michigan teenager Jordan DeMay. Police say he died by suicide after the scammers threatened to send the photos to his family and friends if he didn't pay $1,000.
When I think about the things that they said to him, it hurts me so bad as a mom to think about what he went through in the last hours.
Back in New York, this message from the school superintendent.
Please encourage your children to come forward.
Officials say in a 2-year period, tips about these schemes increased by more than 300%. Morgan Perry.
Andrea, thank you. Tyson Foods says it will stop using high fructose corn syrup in its products by the end of the year, and that includes Jimmy Dean and Hillshire Farm products. The company plans to phase out other additives later this year.
More fallout from Cracker Barrel's decision last month to change its logo and renovate its restaurants. After a backlash, the company reversed course, but it says customer traffic is down about 8%. Well, coming up, new research on head injuries in sports.
Also ahead, a wild scene, orcas attacking and sinking yet another boat. We're going to hear from a boater who survived a similar attack.
We're back now with the search for a priceless gold bracelet from ancient Egypt. Officials say the 3,000-year-old bracelet went missing while being restored at Cairo's Egyptian Museum. Authorities at airports and border crossings are on alert in case someone tries to smuggle the bracelet out of Egypt.
In medical news, researchers say young athletes can show signs of brain damage years before symptoms of any long-term disease. 2 new studies on amateur football and soccer players found changes in the brain were caused by repeated small hits to the head, which are not considered to be a traumatic brain injury. Experts are not calling for an end to contact sports, but hope the findings will help players mitigate their risk.
Turn now to a major scare at sea. Orcas on the attack again.
This frightening video shows a pod of orcas attacking a tourist sailboat off Portugal. The so-called killer whales repeatedly ramming the vessel, eventually sinking it. Several people had to be rescued. Later that day, the same pod reportedly attacking another boat.
Oh my God!
It's the latest in a series of aggressive acts by orcas, which can grow as long as 30 feet and weigh up to 6 tons. Some 700 incidents have been reported in recent years, most off Spain and Portugal. In 2023, this orca ripping off a boat's rudder with its teeth. And last year, this $128,000 yacht was taken down by a pod of orcas in the Mediterranean.
All of a sudden, I felt a really loud bang on the back of the boat, and I could feel sort of like a scraping. They carried on attacking and biting the rudder.
Robert Powell and his crew were sailing to Greece when he says at least 5 killer whales attacked his boat. He believes the orcas, known for their intelligence, knew exactly what they were doing.
They knew the weakness of the boat. They knew where to hit it.
But many scientists say orcas are not targeting humans, and the incidents are not meant to be aggressive. Instead, they claim it's most likely just bored teenage orcas having fun and mimicking each other.
And research suggests because tuna, orca's main food source, is more abundant these days, orcas have more time to spend playing instead of hunting.
Coming up, the new lawsuit over what employees at Starbucks are wearing.
Plus, Mark Zuckerberg unveils his company's new Ray-Ban display glasses. Back now, and time to check the pulse, and we begin with workers at Starbucks suing.
Employees in 3 states are taking legal action over the company's new dress code. So since May, they've had to wear black shirts and khaki, black, or blue denim bottoms, among other requirements.
Well, the employees in Illinois, Colorado, and California claim that Starbucks is violating state laws by refusing to reimburse those who bought the new clothes in order to comply. Well, next, a new direct flight that's a whopping 29 hours long.
That's going to be a no from me, dog. A Chinese airline is claiming bragging rights to the world's longest direct flight. This new route is from Buenos Aires to Shanghai, but there is a 2-hour stop in New Zealand where you can get off the plane and stretch. I need more than stretching for that.
So technically the flight is direct, but it is not nonstop.
Next, the new AI-powered smart glasses from Facebook parent company Meta.
Yeah, the Ray-Ban display glasses are chunkier than the originals, right? But the nearly $800 specs are paired with a wristband, which controls what you see on the screen inside the lens.
So maybe the trickiest part, apparently, learning the hand gestures to control the display. Next, researchers are shedding new light on a so-called drunken money theory. I almost said monkey. Drunken money theory, linking our appetite for alcohol to evolution.
Yeah, a study on chimpanzees shows just by eating ripe fruit, they're consuming the equivalent of a bottle of beer per day. Scientists say we may have gotten our taste for alcohol from our common primate ancestors who relied on fermented fruit. That explains it all, right? Well, finally, an extraordinary scene right outside.
A photographer in Alaska opened his front door to find this amazing display of the northern lights, describing the brilliant green aurora as a stunning show.
Love it. Top headlines next.
Checking more top stories, it's less expensive to borrow money this morning after the Fed cut its main interest rate and suggested more cuts are likely this year. There was a muted reaction on Wall Street yesterday, but overnight stock futures were up.
Venezuela's president has ordered his military to conduct 3 days of drills in the Caribbean. The order comes amid heightened tensions with the U.S. after President Trump said American strikes destroyed 2 alleged drug trafficking boats.
A 95-year-old woman is being held without bail, accused of beating her 89-year-old roommate to death at a New York nursing home. Lawyers saying dementia may have played a role.
And a new survey finds holiday airfares down this year, currently down 15% if you book early for Christmas travel.
Let's talk about the weather. Heavy rain and possible flooding for California and the Southwest. Storms are also going to bring rains to the plains and South Florida.
Well, finally, the man known as Shirtless Dude.
School kids love him. He spoke to our Danny New.
This is the origin story of a superhero. A superhero a bunch of third graders in Kansas have named Shirtless Dude.
What are they screaming at you, Caleb?
Hey, shirtless dude, over and over.
Caleb and Lizzie here moved to this neighborhood a few weeks ago and have always liked to run together around 3:30 p.m. Well, here, 3:30 p.m. happens to be when school gets out at nearby Blue River Elementary.
Sometimes the moms are like, it's gonna pass you again, be ready, be warned.
As you can see, in the hot weather, Caleb has been running with his shirt off, and that, for some endearingly quirky reason, has struck a chord with the students. Now, besides yelling at him from the bus, their young neighbors are even chasing Caleb down the street to ask for his autograph. Look, this young lady actually sketched him with a little six-pack next to a school bus of children screaming, "Hi, shirtless dude," and "We love you!"
Oh.
Another neighbor in a Patrick Mahomes jersey approached Caleb with a shirt he had made.
Is this helping your pursuit to be in great shape?
Yeah, a little bit.
You want to run for them?
Right.
Well, like any superhero's ascendance, now Shirtless Dude is running for a whole lot more people. This video has now reached millions on social media. One commenter writing, "She's gonna be in that bus talking about, but did you get his autograph? Didn't think so." And while Caleb Kent may always play it cool,
He always smiles talking to them. They're really nice, so
and guys, the kids have even asked Shirtless Dude to come to their school's Fun Run fundraiser this weekend, and Caleb says he intends on attending. Well, don't worry, Caleb, so does Shirtless Dan.
Shirtless Dan has clearly been in the gym.
He's been working out.
Yeah, and apparently he's now going to be on the run as well. But that's your Good Morning America First Look.
Have a great Thursday.